Hello, I'm Full Paragon, and this is your tier list update for September 2022, Anniversary After Party Edition. The biggest shift in the meta is, of course, the introduction of the weakness debuff, because of the fact that it scales extremely well in increasing already effective damage against the boss. Pretty much every arena team is going to need to run it, regardless of element or whether it's physical or mages. That means that units like Untitled Chapter are basically going to be mandatory from here on out, and they will sort of centralize the meta. They will also universally be physical units, at least in the first wave, which means that thanks to that, combined with the festival units and the summer limited units, and even all the way back to Danmachi, physical has pretty much taken over the meta and mages have fallen off, and hard. This will continue to happen and for some time, with physical pretty much dominating everywhere, at least until they introduce some changes to the game that will make things a little more balanced, although then you'll just see mixed teams everywhere instead of one or the other. The only element where mages will hold out for the long run is going to be Dark, and that's largely because the limited units in Dark are going to be mages. Expect the meta to be in flux until we get the true powerhouses of the Generation 2 units, and I will be talking about those in a later video, but suffice to say, Festival Chris is broken. Starting things off with the banners we've gotten since my last update, we begin with the last of the summer banners featuring Summer Chris. Swimsuit Chris has proven herself twice over and is a fantastic character. She easily ends in S tier. With cooldown cut and self-agility, we're going to be seeing her used in Earth for quite some time. As for Water Mitsurugi, while he is situational, debuff block is extremely good in the right circumstances, and he'll go into A tier. The Welfare Amy is not quite as good as Arabian Amy, although I can see some teams and circumstances where she would be better. I still think she's an off-meta choice, though she'll go into B tier. As for the anniversary characters, most of them are quite strong, and Festival Kazuma is probably the best from a purely arena standpoint, at least right in the moment. He's not going to remain in Triple S tier for all that long. Once we get Ninja Chris towards the end of the month, and combined with Onsen Mel, we'll have some other options for weakness debuffers. However, of the three, Kazuma is the best, and he's going to be pretty prevalent across the meta until everyone gets their weakness debuffers. In contrast, Idol Megumin is really niche to the point of absurdity. Double single target skills are vastly inferior to having AoE options, and since Light already has the best Megumin in ReZero Megumin, she's firmly off meta and will rarely see any usage at all. Leah will also go into B tier. While Light Welfare Leah is alright, Light is a really stacked element by this point in time, and while she might have been good earlier on in the game, by now she's going to be relegated to the sidelines in all but budget teams. For the festival characters from Anniversary, they are both very good. Godqua is incredibly OP. The only reason she isn't going to go into Triple S tier is the simple fact that we got Summer 2 and Danmachi before her, whereas in Japan they came out after. Still, she's S tier, and as we're seeing this week in Arena, she can see cross-element usage, although she's not going to be prevalent across the meta. Still ridiculously good in Dungeon. The same goes for Darkness. She's very, very strong in Light with that tier 2 agility buff, and she hits quite hard with the Mask Alb. However, she's pretty much only going to see use in Light as far as Arena goes, though in Dungeons, I would also put her in Triple S tier along with Godqua, as the two of them together can clear pretty much any dungeon that we're going to see for quite some time. Onsen Mel came out directly after Anniversary, and she's another awesome character. She's instant S tier, as she has a weakness debuff, and though her kit is slightly inferior to FESzuma just by virtue of the fact that Snipe is one of the greatest ults in the game, she's still very, very strong, and she'll see usage in Earth for at least a year, possibly more, hard to say at this point. As for Onsen Aru, she's inferior to Ninja Aru, and Ninja Aru doesn't see any usage at all, so she goes into C tier as being rather weak. The Welfare Earth Union will go into B tier as off meta, as Earth mages just aren't viable compared to the physical Earth setup at this point in time, though she's still not bad. As for the latest Kenpo banner, the reality is that you're just going to use Eyes and Wind, and that her team beats the pants off of anything you could be doing with Wiz, even though Wiz is pretty obviously not wearing any pants in the first place. Still, she's a fairly decent wind mage, and if you really tried to make them work, it is an off-meta pick, but it's just not as good. As for Mia, she's also off-meta in B tier, although she's an exceptionally good stub thanks to her gauge up trait, and so you see use on Mia for PJ and later on Ainu Mia. The Welfare Wind Silo is also B tier, even though she is vastly superior to the original Silo. At this point in time, Wind just doesn't need her, even with her Wind-based Alt 2, so definitely off-meta. Thanks to Railgun and Christmas Wiz, Fire will remain in the hands of mages for just a little bit longer, although Ainu Mia could shake things up and be superior to Halloween Union. But at least at this particular moment in time, it's really hard to beat the combination of Megumin with Railgun, Christmas Wiz to fuel it up, and Halloween Union to provide that agility buff. So for at least a little longer, those three will rule the roost in the Fire meta. The other meta units are, of course, the 4-star Megumin, although I think 3-star Megumin will continue to be a better railgun holder. Komeko is another mage with a fire-based ult, and if you max her out, she can be fairly good. However, I think the sign of things to come is how much usage Bell and Snow Mitsurugi are seeing now, as those two physical fire units will begin to take over the meta, especially once we get Ainu Mia, although I think she'll mostly just edge Mitsurugi out, but there is the possibility she will be superior to Halloween Megumin as well, as she has a superior agility buff and is coming later on. The off-meta choices are mostly a collection of mages, with Kazuma sneaking in there just by virtue of the fact of how Snipe is an overpowered ult. The water meta is now firmly in place with Godqua and Swimsuit Erika. Once we get Ninja Chris shortly, those three will rule the water meta for I don't even know how long, but your water teams will basically be those three from here on out. You'll also see some usage of Valentine's Leah and Valentine's Iris because they work well, but realistically they should never come out, and the water trio will see usage all the time. There might maybe see some occasional usage where you'll want to run Megumin or Water Mitsurugi as a debuff blocker, but I think for the most part the water meta will stay static and unchanging, and unfortunately incredibly boring for some time to come. If you don't have Water Erika, Godqua, or Ninja Chris, well, you're not really going to be competing in Water Arena, unfortunately. Lightning is an interesting case because Festival Kazuma is going to be coming out shortly, and he will be an S tier unit in Lightning thanks to his Lightning-typed basic and overall excellent kit, which is basically a copy-paste of Swimsuit Chris, except with typed basics. I do think we'll continue to see Mitsurugi, Snow Chris, and some other physical Lightning characters in that team. The question here is which weakness enabler is going to be used with that team. For now, my money is on seeing Onsen Melissa there, but Meru should be coming out shortly. That is the Lightning Sprite who's been annoying us for the past little while, and when she does, she'll be Lightning's weakness enabler, and she'll take over the element along with Festival Kazuma and probably Mitsurugi or Snow Chris. Though it does heavily favor physical teams, I think Earth is one of the most balanced elements we have right now. The last Earth Arena saw teams that weren't even using S-tier characters like Chris or Melissa because the rest of them are very well balanced. You'll see Ballroom Kazuma, New Year Megumin, Ballroom Iris, 2 varieties of Mitsubishi, and even a Welfare Leah or the 4-star Limited School Leah. All of them are pretty great on Earth teams, and they synergize well. You just kind of have to mix and match what will make your team work best. There aren't really any Earth characters on the near horizon that I can see coming out that will drastically affect the balance of this team until we inevitably get Vanier probably sometime around Christmas, and he will begin to shift the metagame over to himself as he's really quite powerful. Wind is now the playground of Eyes. Don't be fooled, even though Kazuma is the triple S tier meta king, the reality is in his home element, Eyes is the make or break unit for this team. Without her, you're really suffering. The latest arena shows exactly one mage team in the top 1000, and I wouldn't be surprised if they fall out by the end of the week. Eyes is just so much better than anything that mages have going on. Currently, we're not even really using a third wind unit because Eyes is so great. If you use Godqua to fuel her, your team just takes off and can't really be stopped. However, I think we're going to be seeing some units shortly that will be replacing Godqua in that setup. But for now, I will continue to expect to see Eyes at the absolute pinnacle of the wind meta, and it's going to be some time before she falls out of there. As for Light, while I can conceive of situations where Light mages fueled by Maid Rin do quite well for themselves, I think overall Danmachi Aqua will be ruling this element along with Darkness, and of course, our eternal Meta Queen, Maid Megumin. When Maid Megumin finally falls out of Triple S tier, I don't know. I do know at some point Japan got an update that was basically a targeted nerf of ReZero Megumin by causing all mobs and bosses in Arena to resist elements that they weren't weak to, which effectively removed her from pretty much every element except for Light. I don't know when that'll happen for us, so I expect to continue to see Megumin dominating Light Arena, whether or not she's wielding the railgun. Light will probably be mostly physical, although this is one where the boss mechanics can make it a toss-up as to whether or not physical or mages will be dominating in any given arena. Last, but of course not least, we have the Dark element. Dark is kind of an oddball element in that it is the only one where mages are very firmly the top dogs, and that will continue to be the case, especially once we get Overlord, where Ainz the Lich will prove himself to be the master of Dark and kick some of our longtime favorites like Aru out of the meta. Until then though, I think Aru and, of course, Dark Rin will be the absolute pinnacle of the Dark meta thanks to them both having Dark-typed ultimates, and they'll be fueled by Arabian Amy, who continues to be awesome. The unit to look out for here is of course Ainz, but also Yakuta Yunyun, who as a Dark mage is quite powerful herself. All that combines into the tier list you see here, with the triple S tier, S tier, and A tier units who make up the majority of the meta. Idol Kazuma and ReZero Megumin will rule over for at least a little while, although both of them will eventually fall off. We're nearing even the lifespan of ReZero Megumin's dominance. As far as the S tier units, the ones that I expect to see the most cross-elemental usage will continue to be Danmachi Aqua, Godqua, and of course Eyes, although I do expect to see Ansen Mel used a little bit in other arenas for those who don't have Baltzuma, or in cases where you want to use a different Kazuma instead of him. As for the lower tier units, you can see them here. A lot of them are either just older, or as you will increasingly see, this will be populated by the mages who are falling out of favor. Over time, I would expect to see characters like PJ Mia rise up to the top as they get more of a chance to shine in their home element. That's the video, thanks for watching. I'll be doing more Konosuba Fantastic Days videos and guides now that I'm back, rather shortly, and expect to see a 2,000 subscribers special before too long.